Section 51 of A Guidebook of Art, Architecture, and Historic Interests in Pennsylvania, edited by Margaretta Archambault. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Tatiana Chichilla. Schuylkill County. Formed March 1, 1811, named for the Schuylkill River, was purchased from the Six Nations in 1749. George Godfried Orwig, first settler in 1747, lived at Sculp Hill. He was followed by other Germans. Orwigsburg, first county seat in 1811, was founded in 1796 by Peter Orwig, son of George. Old courthouse, still standing, is used as a factory. Extensive views from here of mountains and agricultural valleys. In chain of frontier forts were Franklin, built 1756 by order of Benjamin Franklin, Fort Henry south of Pine Grove, and Fort Lebanon, later known as Fort William. The most important, its site near Auburn, is marked by boulder with bronze tablet. Inscription: on this site stood Fort Lebanon, built 1775 by Colonel Jacob Morgan for protection of early settlers against Indians, erected in 1913 by Mahantongo Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, Pottsville, PA. Indian warriors came down from the mountains and made savage forays on the peaceful farms, in which many people were massacred, and mills and houses were burned. The old oak tree is standing near, from which sentinels took observations. In this fort the first religious services in the county were held. 1 mile from Fort Lebanon is the Old Red Church, built in 1755, destroyed by Indians 1756, rebuilt 1776, celebrated its sesquicentennial in 1905. This county revels in picturesque scenery. Excellent roads curve through valleys of surpassing richness and fertility, or wander along a ridge with glorious views on either side. In the north, the skyline of a mountain range is often broken by a weird coal breaker. In every direction there is beauty and interest. Laurel may be seen by the acre, and much rhododendron. Great cliffs of various colored conglomerate rock are found throughout the county. This is the southern limit of the anthracite coal fields in east-central Pennsylvania, the only ones of importance in the United States, divided into 3 well-known trade regions, Wyoming, Lehigh, and Schuylkill, comprising an area of 480 square miles in the counties of Carbon, Columbia, Lackawanna, Northumberland, Luzerne, Susquehanna, and Schuylkill. Discovered in Schuylkill County by Nico Allen in 1790. While camping out overnight, he built a fire among some rocks under shelter of the trees. During the night, being awakened by unusual heat, he saw the rocks a mass of glowing fire, he having ignited the outcrop of a bed of coal. The birth of this great productive industry may be dated from 1820, when 365 tons were sent to Philadelphia from the headwaters of the Lehigh River. 80 million tons per annum are now produced. Location of coal was shown in William Scull's map of Pennsylvania, published in 1770. 3 places marked. In 1795 it was used successfully for smithing by a blacksmith named Whitestone, but not generally for this purpose until 1806. In 1812, Colonel George Shoemaker produced coal from a shaft on land he owned, now known as the Centerville Tract, loaded 9 wagons, and drove to Philadelphia, where he was accused of being an impostor, attempting to sell stone for coal. He sold 2 loads for cost of transportation, and gave the rest away to those who promised to try to use it. He induced Messrs. Mellon and Bishop to try it in their rolling mill in Delaware County, where it was found to be a complete success. Iron was heated in much less time than usual, and the workmen said, it passed through the rolls like lead. From 1830, rapid improvements were made in methods of mining and transporting coal. First breaker in this county was erected by Gideon Bast on Wolf Creek near Minersville. The St. Clair shaft was sunk in 1845 by Alfred Lawton to Primrose Vein, 122 feet. In 1851, E.W. McGinnis continued the depth of shaft to the Mammoth Vein, 438 feet. At Wadesville, a shaft was sunk 619.5 feet. A shaft located by General Henry Pleasance is deepest coal shaft in the United States, 1,584 feet. The collieries of the Philadelphia and Reading Coal Company are the most extensive. Property in Schuylkill and Columbia counties, 18,333 acres, 1/3 coal, devised by Stephen Girard of the City of Philadelphia and Trust, comprises some of the most valuable tracts in the anthracite region. Girard was largely instrumental in building the Schuylkill Canal to Philadelphia. Connecting with this was a railroad and a series of gravity planes between Girardville and Mount Carbon, head of the canal. The Girard Railroad, opened in 1834, was one of the greatest engineering feats of the time, attracting international comment. Much of the masonry is still to be seen. In 1690, William Penn called attention to the feasibility of passage by water between the Susquehanna River and Tulpehocken Creek, a branch of the Schuylkill. In 1762, David Rittenhouse and Dr. William Smith surveyed a route for a canal to connect waters of the Susquehanna and Schuylkill via Swatara and Tulpehocken Creeks, and actually traced a line between the Delaware and Ohio rivers at Fort Pitt, thence to Erie. The Union Canal connecting the Schuylkill and Susquehanna rivers was completed in 1826 by the Schuylkill Navigation Company. They did great work in their day. Years of greatest prosperity were from 1835 to 41. In 1800, Reese and Thomas located an iron furnace on the site of Pottsville. In 1807, Greenwood Furnace and Forge were erected by John Pott. In 1839, Pioneer Furnace at Pottsville under Bird Patterson was blown in with anthracite coal by Benjamin Perry and ran for about 3 months. Among the first to successfully use anthracite coal in blast furnace in the United States. Pottsville, county seat, 1,395 feet above sea, population 21,876, laid out in 1816, has not one level street. Flights of steps are frequently used to get to various heights. Fine views from every point. A commission for city planning has lately been appointed. Courthouse erected in 1892. Architect Mr. Taylor stands on a hill in a terraced square. Has portraits of judges. In the old courthouse, to the rear, now torn down, the Molly Maguires were tried and convicted in 1876. Soldiers' Monument erected in 1891 is in Garfield Square. On a pedestal are names of battles fought by Schuylkill County men in Civil War. The Washington Artillery and National Light Infantry of Pottsville, 246 men, were part of the 530 Pennsylvanians who first arrived at our national capital for its defense in 1861. Schuylkill County sent 13,000 volunteers. There are also soldiers' monuments at Port Carbon, St. Clair, and Mahanoy City. A statue of John Pott is in the playground of Center Street Public School, formerly a cemetery. Pennsylvania, the coal-producing state of the Union, has every reason to be grateful to Henry Clay for advocating a protective tariff on her principal product. Pottsville's enthusiasm culminated in the Henry Clay Monument, completed in 1855, soon after his death, west of South Center Street. An iron Doric column surmounted by an iron statue of Henry Clay after the painting by P. F. Rothermel, Senate of 1850. First colossal iron casting of its kind made in the United States. From sidewalk to top of statue, 205 feet. Pottsville Cemetery contains grave of Joseph Ellison, member of Greely Arctic Expedition, who died at Port Haven, Greenland, in 1884, soon after being rescued by the late Rear Admiral Schley. A diary, kept until his hands were frozen stiff, will soon be published by the Pottsville Historical Society. Parks in Schuylkill County are Lakeside above Mahanoy City, Marlin near Pottsville, Manila east of Tamaqua, Woodland between Ashland and Gerardville, Washington between Ashland and Locust Dale. They are combinations of formal gardening with natural beauty. Tumbling Run Dam near Pottsville is beautiful in its setting. Shenandoah, population 24,726, contains a mixed mining population. 26 languages and dialects are spoken here. End of section 51.